Welcome back to another episode of Louisiana Outdoorsman, guys. We are going to do something a tad bit different today. I am beyond excited. I cannot wait until duck season comes. We're a month out. I've just picked up my duck calls to start practicing again. I know I should have been practicing all year, but this video, my main goal is to teach some of you guys who may be beginning to learn how to duck call and want to get into duck call, but maybe you just want to start learning to call because you want to go with some buddies hunting this season, but you're a little bit shy to call in front of them. Trust me, I've been there, done that. It's a very nerve-wracking thing when you go with a group of guys who's been hunting for 10 years and you could swear they're the best duck callers in the world. And you're just a little nervous to call in front of them because you're afraid they might make fun of you or clown the way you call. But like I said, I'm not a professional duck caller. I've only been calling for maybe 3 or 4 years now. I'm not even the best at it. I'm just barely good enough to actually call ducks in. But anyway, this is just for the beginners or some callers that want to learn extra tips, want to gain a little something. If you gain one thing out of this video, then it was a success. I'm going to go over 2 or 3 calls that I basically use the whole time while I'm duck hunting. I don't use all those extravagant hail calls and really fast feeder calls and all that fancy stuff. I use 3 main calls, and that's what I'm going to go over today. First one, basic, I'm sure you heard already, the quack, the single quack. That has called in more ducks than any other call I have personally ever seen. It works. It's simple and it works. Two of the duck calls I do use is this one right here. It is my Echo Breaker. It's more of an open water type call. I do hunt open water a lot. And then also I do have this Echo Timber call. I'm a big fan of Echo. They're a decent price, especially for beginners who may be looking to get into duck calling and don't want to buy that $150, $200 duck call. These range at about anywhere from $60 to $80. They're very reasonable and they're a very good duck call. But anyway, like I said, I do hunt open water a lot. And the times that I do hunt timber, I do use this Echo call. It could be interchangeable with everyone. This one's a bit louder than this one. But to start off with the basic quack, what you're going to do is I use a slight hum whenever I do the quack in my throat. And you want to pull that air from your diaphragm. You don't want to feel your cheeks and blow because then it'll sound like this. When you start using all the air from your mouth, it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound natural. You give a little hum and you put it from your diaphragm and you just... You give it that hum almost right before you start to pull the air. And it sounds like this on the back side of the call. And then you add the hum into it, which is... Basically what I'm doing is, I'm not saying any words. I haven't learned that way. Some people learn by listening to words, saying you say 10 or whatever other words you may learn with. I haven't learned with a word. It's just a almost like you're spitting and then pushing your tongue to the top of your palate and making that real crisp ending to the quack. And like I said, I'm not the best at it. That's the way I learned. If it can help any of you guys that's in the beginning stages of it, then it works. The next one is the comeback call. When you're hunting open water like I do, a lot of the birds are already pressured because there's a lot of hunters on the open water down here, especially in Louisiana. So what most of the birds do here is they're so pressured, they take a look at your decoys and they just keep on flying by. They don't even get within range. But something about when you hit them with that comeback call to be able to let them know, hey, we're actually real ducks over here. You might want to come back. So I'm going to use my open water Echo call for this one. And it's basically a 4 or 5 note call. I like to wind it down at the end with like a little squeal. It goes something a little bit like this. And basically, I've actually learned that squeal off of other videos and some locals that basically told me that if a duck's feeding on the water, when it goes to call, it might have some food stuck in its mouth or throat. So it actually sounds like the duck's eating, which could be a more antagonizing reason for the ducks to turn around and come back. There might be food here. It's just something I like to do. If you don't add the squeal, it sounds a little bit something like this. It's a habit now. I really can't do it without the squeal. It's basically built into how I call now. Like I said, it works here for some reason. Like I said, due to the pressure, and the comeback call works better than an actual greeting call here in Louisiana. I found, well, at least the public lands I've hunted. If you have private land and ducks aren't pressured, then great. The welcome call. The greeting call, should I say the welcome call? The greeting call will probably work better if you got private land. It's not pressured, and you actually got ducks that want to work in your decoys. But I found that the comeback call works a lot better for public land hunters, especially the ones on open water, just the way the ducks act down here. Other than that, I am a stickler for a very simple feeder call. The feeder call I use isn't the fast, rapid, what they call rapid fire feeder call. It's just a basic tick, 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 tick. And it sounds a little something like this. And you notice as I'm doing it, I'll just kind of move my hands a little bit like that, and I open them, close them, open them, close them, to give that range of sound that there might be a few ducks that, obviously all ducks don't sound the same when they call, so it's more of a natural sound to me that you audibly change the pitch of your call while you're doing it. And also, you can do the rapid fire feeder call, but what I've learned and heard from other people, if you're hunting a spread of 24 decoys and you do a rapid feeder call that sounds like 100 ducks, the ducks aren't stupid. They're going to look at your decoy, your 20 to 24 decoys, and be like, you know, these aren't the hundreds of ducks that I'm hearing right now, and they'll most likely leave. Which is, you can do the rapid feeder call. I'm not the greatest at it. Like I said, I've been practicing this for about 2 or 3 years. I kind of gave up on it last year due to the fact that I like this one better, but you could always do it. Like I said, I'm not the greatest at it. That's the point I've got to. I know it's nowhere near what other guys can do. It's pretty amazing what other guys can do with a rapid feeder call. But like I said, I don't care for it. I don't use it in the field. So I really don't practice that call. But if you guys do want to learn that, I've learned the method with a dugga-dugga in your throat and just basically moving your tongue as you go with it and push the air out. So it sounds like this on the back side of the call. I don't add a hum to it. Some people add a hum to it. I don't. It's just a digga-digga, 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 digga. Basically, as fast as you can move your tongue is as fast as you can control the call. Like I said, I'm not the greatest at it. I don't practice it anymore because I don't use it. I use just a tick, 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 and that's really all I'm doing until the call is tick, 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 tick. It sounds like this in the backside. And it sounds like this on the other side, as you've heard before. So, as I was saying, I'm not the greatest duck caller in the world. I don't claim to be the greatest duck caller in the world, but if I figure some of the tips that I've learned from others can help anybody, then it's a success either way. So I'm going to go over the 3 calls that basically I use, and hopefully it helps you guys in the field, especially with this upcoming duck season. So you're going to have the basic quack call, which is probably one of the most important calls that you can learn. Practice, practice, practice. I practiced the quack before I can get it somewhat down packed to where it's at now for about a year, year and a half, and that's just you add the hum, you pull air from your diaphragm, and like I said, I don't say a word, I just and also if you're in, like I said, if you're in timber and you want to be a little bit quieter, because I know it echoes very loud when you're in timber, you can clench off that call more and more to depend how loud you want it, because you can get it real low, or if you want it loud, if the ducks are a little further away and you're not as in tight timber, you can it just depends. Basically how much air you want to pull and how you work your finger movements. The next one is going to be the comeback call, which I described earlier. I'm just going to kind of wrap it up. Basically, it's the 4, 5, 6 note call that you use to bring them back in case you're kind of losing the attention of some of the ducks that passed by already. It goes a little something like this. I don't count the squeal as any part of the notes. It's kind of my wind down on the call itself. The notes are the louder ones that actually start off the call, and the winding down I add about 3 or 4 extra notes on there. But mainly it's the first 4 or 5 notes that get their attention, and the back half is just to represent them maybe eating and finishing up the call, and the food might still be in their mouth. Last one but not least is the feeder call. Like I said, I don't care for the rapid style. I don't find it that effective in the field compared to the one that I use, which is this. It's more effective. It sounds more natural, especially when you're not hunting over a massive spread. Obviously, if you're hunting over hundreds of decoys, then the rapid call would be a lot better because it actually sounds like 100 ducks feeding all at one time. This one sounds more of like your 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen decoys that you have normally hunting with. I don't know how many you guys hunt with, but normally that's about the amount that we hunt with. You can always do the rapid. Like I said, I'm not the best at it, but this is how I've learned it up until this point. Also, if you notice, I don't do it to perfection. Also, not on purpose, I do it to perfection, but it's got that little squeal in it that sounds like the ducks are eating, and it's in their throat and they're still trying to call at the same time. Put breaks in it to where it's just not one rapid brrr, to where it actually sounds like what you want to sound like is just a natural duck. You're not trying to impress nobody by your calling. You're just trying to sound like a natural duck. So, if you guys found this video helpful in any way, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button to our channel. Duck season is rapidly approaching. We're going to have some pretty awesome videos this time around. So make sure you stay tuned for another episode of Louisiana Outdoorsman.